How can we hear more from restaurant staff? Like, is there any techniques or tools that y'all have used to solicit feedback that you found really helpful? I'm going off script, but I want to double click on this.
Shift feedback on 7 shifts. We've been using
that was not a plug, right?
No, we have been using this.
Love it.
Yeah, I think it's also about building trust and having a conversation with the team about what's going on and how you want to grow and what that looks like. You know, one of the things that I consistently am reminded of is that we, as the leaders of the restaurant, they're looking to us to lead. And so as a result, we need to step up and show a bit of vulnerability through that leading, because we don't always know the answers either. And it's okay to say that. And I think when you show that, create that trust to the team, with the team, the exit conversation that you have with them is more organic and it's more fruitful versus, I hate this place, I'm out of here, or whatever. You want to be able to create something. It doesn't mean that everyone can leave your restaurant and think it's the best place they ever worked. That's okay too. I don't cook for people every night and they walk out of my restaurant and say it was the best meal they ever had. That's okay too. But I certainly try.
Practically, we try to create a culture where communication and failing while you're trying is okay. And so like safe environment for communicate and then sharing a lot of information. We try to do it in smaller increments. So having a quick checkout conversation at the end of the shift and then having a weekly meeting rather than like a yearly all staff meeting or a quarterly all staff meeting. That helps a lot because that gets everybody in practice of just talking about things. And we also practice open book finance. So all the numbers are open except for individual pay information. So then when we talk about money or when we talk about income or when we talk about cost, it just becomes part of the everyday sort of chit chat. And having that is super helpful in getting staff feedback as well, because we're opening up and showing vulnerability, even in numbers, and asking them to contribute to the conversation.
Yeah, I think since removing tipping, we really changed our work culture. So I feel a lot more comfortable having these conversations with people on my team. We have all of our full-time servers and bartenders are on salary. When they need to give me feedback, they come to me as if they're a manager coming to another manager. Those communication lines are more open and transparent than they ever have been, and they're more likely to want the best for the restaurant. And so that's crazy for me because like I have this team that trusts me and I trust them. And when I started in restaurants, it wasn't like that. It was always a relationship that was kind of broken. Eliminating tipping and creating stability and trust has really changed the way our restaurants feel.
A very common theme in most of the responses here is very different than what like restaurants are used to, which is to go as quickly as possible. It sounds to me like in order to get really great valuable feedback, you have to slow down and you have to make time for weekly meetings instead of monthly meetings, and you need to conduct exit interviews. And that's just a really great reminder for all of us here. Cool.
Yeah, something that I would also add just to everyone's comments, which are awesome. I think that point of that resounding sentiment around trust, in so many ways, the hospitality industry, a lot of the times they think of themselves as kind of like a different industry, but it's like a business at the end of the day. And there are all these great practices that businesses employ around people and culture and how they do things that could be borrowed that are industry agnostic. I think about that element of like, you're building a team, the team is running this business, and that trust part. If I think about the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team book, it's one of our favorite books here at 7 Shifts, which is, if you don't have that bottom layer, which is trust, you can't have conflict. But once you have that trust, you can have the conflict, and then you can have that commitment around what you aligned on. And then you have the accountability, and then the top of the pyramid is the results you're trying to drive. But all of those things kind of need to happen, and trust is the underlying foundation of all of it. And I think that that's a really important thing that I heard from everyone chatting here as well.
That applies to just life in general.
Yes.
I got some feedback the other day that if there wasn't trust established, I would not have liked it or appreciated it. But since there was trust established, like it's a great way to build yourself up. All right, so we are just about at time for the seated questions, but it looks like we have just a few that have popped into the chat while we were all talking. So I'm gonna just spitball these, and whoever wants to catch them and answer them, let's just do it that way and keep it fun. Sam says, has anyone implemented a tip pool after never having one? Did any of the staff react negatively? If so, how did you handle that? Anyone want to take it?
I guess we sort of, I mean, because we weren't taking tips, but then when we started taking tips, then we implemented tip pool. That's an easier change than having been a traditional tip credit place and then turning it into a tip pool restaurant. But we started by talking a lot about it, and we made sure at first the staff were able to just talk it out amongst themselves with the help of a supervisor and a manager, but not with me in it in the room, so they feel a little more comfortable chatting off the shoot. And then I think we had several conversations with the current staff and came up with the system that we have now, which is we accept tips and we divide it up across all front of the house and back of the house. And we divide it up by the number of hours you worked. So in a week, if one person worked 20 hours, one person worked 40 hours, person who worked 40 hours will get exactly double of the 20-hour. And we didn't put in any complicated systems like, oh, if you're a supervisor, you get a little more percentage. But we did that from the feedback from the staff that they didn't want anything complicated. They wanted to be able to understand what their pay was and how it's divided up. If you took on more responsibility or if you took on ordering, the raises came from the base pay, not from the tip pool. The staff reaction was actually positive for us because we were going from base pay to base pay plus tips. So they were just getting more money, which I think would be different if you're going from a tipped. It's a lot more complicated to go from like a tip credit restaurant to tip pool restaurant because one department, front of the house, will be having this idea that they're losing a bunch of income to give it to the back of the house.